So for this video, I want to talk about building the behavior tree for the first-person shooter game. This was a large undertaking for me and my skill level, and so I want to share where I'm at with the behavior tree, how I got here, and some things that I think I can do to improve the behavior tree, the decision making of the AI opponent, and how it functions on screen. So let's dive right into the behavior tree. And so the first thing is on a root, I built a sequence. And in this sequence, I have it gathering information that it needs to make decisions initially. This way, every time the AI is moving through the branch and comes out of a branch and goes back to the root, it collects this information so that it can update it before it makes another decision. I think it's very important in my testing to have these decisions happen or to have this information gathering happen ahead of time before decisions are made on the AI. And the reason why is at one point, I had get ammo count and find number of pickups buried inside the trees, or inside the branches, excuse me. And I ran into a situation where the AI would stop decision making altogether. So it would hit a branch that would fail, and then it would go back, and because it didn't have the information to make a decision, it would fail. And so it would just stay in a fail state and never actually progress towards the goal, which was to shoot at a puck. Prevent the player from scoring. It wasn't able to do that. And so that's where I messed around with kind of where these are placed and how the AI is decision making. And so that's the first lesson that I learned in the behavior tree process is gather information on decision making first. So if we're going to have decisions based on ammo count or the number of pickups in a level or enemy's health, for example, any of those types of decisions that it wants to make, it needs to gather that information before it gets to that decision point. So even if that's inside of another branch, as long as it's able to execute that branch before it makes that decision, it will have the information it needs in order to make the decision. It sounds self-explanatory, but it's not something I had thought about in building the behavior tree. Was what information I was going to need to make that decision. Basically, I gave it more credit than I should have in terms of how I was going to act. And so now I know, and this is where I'm at and how I developed it. And so now it gets ammo count first. It's one of the first things that it does is it understands how much ammo it has before it makes a decision to fire or to pick up more ammo. It knows how much ammo it has. And so that's where this Blackboard-based condition comes in here. So it's checking for ammo count to see if it's greater than 5, less than or equal to 5. And if it's at the greater than 5 point, it's going to run this branch. And so it's going to find the target puck. It's going to rotate to the target. It's going to wait a half second to a full second, or it's going to wait from no time to a full second before it fires at the puck. So it executes the shoot command. And so it's going to wait any time between no time and a full second before it fires. The reason behind this is if there's no wait time involved, it will fire consistently at no time. So there's no time between shots, which is not the same way that a player would operate shooting at a puck. So a player could fire it as fast as they could possibly click the button. That's still not going to be 0 seconds between clicks. And so it's important to have some type of wait there so that the AI feels more like a player and less like a robot. Then if the ammo count drops below 5, it's going to initiate this sequence, where now it's going to look for the number of pickups, which we're getting at this point. And then it's going to say, find the closest pickup from that. And then it's going to move to that location. So there has to be a pickup there in order for it to find the pickup location. This is one of the zones I was having issues with, is I would get to a number of pickups here. It would get the ammo count, less than 5. It would try to find pickups. If there was not a pickup in the level, then it would fail. but it wouldn't shoot because it was less than 5. And so it kind of put itself into this constant state of failure. And that's where I've done that too. Another thing that I did to mitigate that decision failing over and over again is I added static spawns of ammo to the level so that it's not dependent on the player's ammo count and shots fired for the enemy to refill. And same for the player. So the player doesn't have to rely on the AI taking shots in order for the player to refill their ammo. And this allows us to keep that pace of play high, where there's constantly ammo in abundance around the level. It keeps us moving around the level, but at the same time, it keeps us firing at the puck, which keeps that high pace of play that is very important to a Crossfire-like first-person shooter. The high pace of play was a goal of mine in building this game, because that's when I felt Crossfire was at its most fun, was when there was a fast pace of play. The thing about Crossfire that I always disliked was the reloading. And so having us be able to walk over ammo pickups that automatically refill the weapon, even a small amount, I think still keeps that pace of play high, and it keeps the player constantly in motion, looking to refill that ammo. And then finally, the last branch that I have executing is if we're at the starting position, so this is inversed, it's looking for starting position. If we're at starting, or if we're not at starting position, then it's going to set the starting location and then move to it so that it knows, hey, I'm going to move back to this position. This is something I think I need to improve on quite a bit. This branch here needs to be more of a mobility branch rather than a move between points branch. And the reason why I say that is because the AI needs to be smarter in how it positions itself on the board in order to stop pucks from going into the goal and prevent the player essentially from staying at center and kind of hogging that center space. So those are two things that the AI needs to be able to accomplish. And that's something that I'm going to have to build into this behavior tree. But I think this is a good starting point. The behavior tree that's built right now is actually able to score on the player, which is a good thing. At least gives us a sense of how the game can play. But also, I still have a lot of room for improvement here. And so those are just kind of some of the things that I've learned along the way. Some of the things that I can improve on in the behavior tree. And thank you for your time.